so important for voters to make their voices heard.
The polls are open. It's primary election day in Colorado.
Our freedom as Coloradans, as Americans, is really demonstrated at the ballot box.
We're breaking down the major races and what you need to know to cast your ballot. A tragedy involving suspected human smuggling in Texas. The new details from police as dozens of migrants are found dead.
This is probably the worst tragedy in terms of migration that I know of in recent history.
Plus, watch what you put in the trash, the new monthly fee just approved in the city of Denver. And Denver is getting ready to celebrate the Avs Stanley Cup win with a huge party.
We're expecting literally hundreds of thousands of Avs fans to descend upon downtown.
And happening now in Washington, D.C., the House panel investigating the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol is holding a surprise hearing today. A White House aide to former President Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, will testify. Cassidy Hutchinson is considered a vital witness to the investigation and could offer details between Meadows and former President Trump. She previously gave recorded testimony to the panel. You can watch the hearing right now on Denver 7. And thanks for joining us for Denver 7 News at 11. I'm Patrick Perez. It is primary election day in Colorado, and polls have been open for about 3 hours now. Voters are choosing candidates for several local, state, and congressional races. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta reports on what you need to know before you vote.
Today is your last chance to cast your vote for the 2022 primary election. So here's what you need to know if you plan on doing that at any point today. First off, you have that 12-hour window. The polls opened at 7 this morning, and as long as you're in line by 7 this evening, you should be able to go ahead and do that. If you're not registered to vote in Colorado, you can register today and then cast your vote today as well. There are some major races on that ballot. We're talking about everything from U.S. Senate to Congress to state seats as well. One of the big questions, though, is who's going to take on Governor Jared Polis come November. Republicans Heidi Ganahl and Greg Lopez, they're both vying for that spot. Denver 7 spoke with both this month. Listen to what they said would be their priorities should they get to take on the governor, potentially even the job.
What I hear around the state is folks are really upset and frustrated about government overreach, whether it's taxes, fees, regulations, moving industries out of Colorado like the energy industry. We need to make sure that we trust the people of Colorado to make good decisions for themselves and their businesses, their families, their kids, first and foremost. And that's what I call the Colorado way of life. I think that's my first priority.
Crime is really a big issue here in the state of Colorado because it impacts families. It impacts our quality of life. And so we need to make sure that we give back qualified immunity to the police officers, that we figure out a way where we can be tough on crime once again, because I think that's really what's tearing apart our community fabric.
And to find your closest polling location, all you have to do is go to your county election supervisor's website and look on there. If you're in Denver, you just have to go to denvergov.org. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
All right, thanks so much, Veronica. Here's a look at other primaries we'll be following. The Republican U.S. Senate primary, Ron Hanks and Joe O'Dea are seeking the nomination to take on Democratic incumbent Michael Bennet. Bennet is currently unopposed. Another high-profile race is for Secretary of State. Pam Anderson, Mike O'Donnell, and Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters are seeking the Republican bid to take on Democratic incumbent Jena Griswold. Peters is accused of tampering with election equipment and is banned from overseeing elections in her county. And Colorado gained a seat in Congress after the 2020 census. The 8th congressional district is north of Denver. There are 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat running. And we spoke with Colorado Secretary of State Jena Griswold on the Denver 7 Morning News. She says it's important for Coloradans to make their voices heard, and she's assuring voters that our elections are safe.
Colorado is considered one, if not the safest state in the nation to cast a ballot. None of our voting equipment is connected to the internet. Of course, Coloradans vote on a piece of paper, and we do the premier audits. It's called a bipartisan risk limiting audit. So rest assured, our elections are safe and secure.
And polls are open until 7 tonight. We will have coverage throughout the day on air on thedenverchannel.com and on Denver 7 Plus. The NTSB is on scene of a deadly Amtrak train derailment in Missouri. The train derailed after slamming into a dump truck that was parked on the tracks. At least 3 people were killed and more than 4 dozen people were hurt. 16 Boy Scouts traveling on the train jumped into action and started giving first aid to victims.
One scout wrapped his hand and took his shirt off, wrapped his hand, and had to break some windows to get people out. Another scout went and comforted the driver of the truck that was hit.
Why the truck was on the tracks, but officials say there are no crossing arms at the railroad crossing. And we're learning new details at 11 about dozens of migrants found dead in Texas. Investigators say at least 50 people are dead after they were found inside of a semi-trailer near San Antonio. Jim Ryan reports.
A person walking along a tree-lined road near Lackland Air Force Base heard a cry for help and found a big rig with around 100 people stuffed into the trailer. First responders arrived within minutes.
Looks like quite a few of them are already deceased.
Initially, 46 bodies were discovered. San Antonio Fire Chief Charles Hood says they were stacked on top of each other. As for the survivors,
they were suffering from heat stroke, heat exhaustion, no signs of water in the vehicle. It was a refrigerated tractor trailer, but there was no visible working AC unit.
Paramedics said the victims' bodies were hot to the touch. More than a dozen, including some children, were taken to hospitals in the area. The mayor of San Antonio calls it a horrific human tragedy.
There are individuals who are no longer with us, who had families, who were likely trying to find a better life.
Homeland Security investigators are talking with 3 potential suspects in what may be the deadliest incident involving suspected human smuggling in Texas. A truck driver convicted in the 2017 deaths of 10 people in his trailer, also in San Antonio, is serving life in prison. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
And also in Texas, the DOJ's critical incident team will visit Robb Elementary School in Uvalde this week. Officials will conduct interviews, look at documents, and collect other relevant information. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed in a mass shooting at the school last month. Police officers waited outside the building for more than an hour after the shooting started before going in. The public health impact of gun violence is focus of a virtual conference today at CU. It will bring together experts in fields like child psychology and emergency treatment from CU Boulder and CU Anschutz medical campuses. They will share their research and findings to help the community understand the mental health impacts that can lead to gun violence and ways to help prevent it. CU Boulder's chancellor says the biggest goal of this conference is education.
We're working to make sure that children in elementary schools, middle schools, high schools really understand ways of being more healthy psychologically, mentally, as well as physically.
The conference is open to anyone and it will have a question and answer session. It begins at 5. A person shot by Arvada police is in the hospital this morning. The shooting happened overnight near 62nd and the Wadsworth bypass. No officers were hurt. Police haven't yet said what the suspect's condition is. Denver wants to hear from you about the ways to get around the city. Denver Moves Everybody is the city's transportation plan for the future. City planners want your feedback on how to spend money for transportation, including improvements like expanding bike lanes and bus routes. You can weigh in on denvermoveseveryone.com until Thursday. Some Denver Public Schools employees are rallying today, asking the district for raises. Paraprofessionals, nutrition workers, and maintenance workers want the district to meet union demands and pay at least $20 an hour. They will meet outside DPS headquarters this afternoon. Adams 14 School District is finalizing a 3-year contract with a new manager. Chalkbeat Colorado reports the $5 million deal is with the New York-based nonprofit. It goes into effect July 1st. This is the second time the district has entered into an external management agreement after years of low performance. The district ended its contract with a for-profit management company earlier this year. You're looking live at Civic Center Park. Everything is quiet right now, but in 2 days, the park will be packed with people celebrating the Avs Stanley Cup win. Civic Center Park is, of course, where Thursday's victory parade and rally will end. And here's what it looks like driving the parade route down 17th and Broadway. 17th will be closed to traffic, by the way, and so will some cross streets. Denver police, they're using the same plan they used from the Broncos Super Bowl 50 win when about 1 million people came to downtown Denver.
We encourage folks to exercise some patience. We expect some significant crowds coming down, really to pay attention. We will have a very robust plan to try to keep the entire parade route itself and the rally safe.
And the city says people should come down early and bring only what they need, like water, and you should not bring big bags or chairs. Now here's a look at that parade route. The team and the Stanley Cup will wind down 17th Street and Broadway. The parade starts at Union Station and then it ends at Civic Center Park with, of course, that big celebration and all the speeches. The parade starts at 10, but remember, you are encouraged to arrive much earlier than that. Denver 7, by the way, is your home for the Stanley Cup Parade. We're partnering with Altitude Sports to cover all of this fun live on air and on the denverchannel.com. Our pre-parade coverage starts at 4:30 in the morning. Our parade show begins at 9:30. Denver is adding a new monthly fee for trash pickup. Still ahead, the changes you need to know about and when it goes into effect. Plus, the Broncos are being honored for their work off the field.